Hey, what's up guys, Totallydubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Iiyama GB2760QSU-B1. I know, a massive mouthful. Now this can be found for around £370 on Amazon.co.uk. Link will be down in the description below in case you're interested. Now you're wondering what you get for that amount of money. Well, this is a 27-inch TN panel that has a 1440p resolution, so that's WQHD at 144 Hz. It has a quoted response time of 1 millisecond. It has a built-in speaker. It also has AMD FreeSync, which is FreeSync ranges between 50 Hz to 144 Hz on HDMI and 48 Hz to 144 Hz on DisplayPort. It has two USB 3.0 outputs which can be used for charging your phone. That can be found on the left hand side of the monitor. Then you've got DVI, HDMI and DisplayPort inputs, and you've got a 3.5mm jack headphone output if you want to plug in your headphones directly to it. You've also got VESA capabilities, so you can change the stand if you so wish. All of the specs will be linked in the description below, so make sure you check that out. Now first of all, its build quality. How is it? Now it's got a three-side borderless design which looks absolutely fantastic, and at the bottom over here you've got a matte black finish. I must say, in terms of the looks of the monitor, when I first got it out of the box, I was very impressed, and using it I felt that the borderless design really brought down the size of the monitor, which in comparison to other monitors out there is it's a nice treat to have. Now the monitor has a fantastic stand which allows a height adjustment, tilt, pivot and a full rotation. It's in this respect you won't have any problems adjusting it for your desk or for your needs. Now the OSD of the monitor is a little bit primitive. By a little bit primitive I mean it looks a bit primitive, but it provides you all the options that you'd so desire from an OSD. Just zooming in right here so you guys can see. Now, in terms of the OSD, you've got picture adjustment. I'll just rotate the screen. Picture adjustment. Within it, you've got contrast, brightness, overdrive, advanced contrast, eco mode, blue light reducer, black tuner, and color saturation, and then finally gamma. There's unfortunately no sRGB mode to choose from. You've also got input select, audio, which I said has got inbuilt speakers. Unfortunately, the speakers are not something to really boast about because they're pretty poor, but they're useful for Windows notifications. You've got color adjust, which I've got it on user color, on 19.8 for red, 99 for green, and 100 for blue. Then you've got all the other OSD options, which are pretty much basic in terms of using the settings or the OSD. So overall, I must say that the monitor has the right amount of settings to go through. There's just one missing thing, which is sRGB, which might annoy video photo editors. However, based on that, I'm going to quickly tell you, you're never going to really use sRGB mode, simply because a photo or video editor would never buy this monitor. And the reason why is because of its panel quality. Now despite being a TN panel, I just would have expected a little bit more for a £370 monitor. In this image, for example, you've got very overblown a skyline, which in all honesty you can barely see. Normally you can see a white sky which is hidden behind a mountain, and it blends in very well with the image, and you also get a rich sort of color coming from this mountain or this little ruins over here. Unfortunately, with this TN panel specifically, it's kind of like washed out and the colors are just not vibrant. Moving on from this image, let's go to another random one. This image, for example, you should see the skyline really having a fantastic contrast between the sea or whatever it is over here and the sky. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and it feels like it's all blended into one color. Now you might be thinking, okay, if you're looking at photos directly, then you might notice a problem. Well, no, the problem occurs everywhere, including if you're gaming or even if you're on Facebook or Messenger. You'll notice that if you have Facebook Messenger open on the right hand side and you've got it at your messages at the bottom right, then you'll notice that the contrast is so bad that you can barely see the messages popping up and you can barely see the writing on there. It's that bad. So yeah, unfortunately, the contrast ratio of this monitor is not great and the color accuracy is poor, to say the least. Now, is this going to concern a video and photo editor? Absolutely. No photo or video editor will ever get this monitor, but that said, this is never aimed at those type of people. It's aimed at gamers. Now, in terms of gaming purposes, it's acceptable. Playing Counter-Strike, playing Overwatch, I was satisfied with it. But coming from a high-end IPS gaming monitor, I was just disappointed in terms of the color reproduction and the image quality. So that's just something you should bear in mind. Now, I just should say that I popped this on a calibrator, and I also found the results were similar to what my eyes were finding. You've got an average delta E of 3.41 with a maximum delta E of 9.33. Pretty poor for a £370 monitor. You can see over here that the blacks are pretty off, and that is surprising to see on a monitor that costs that much, and more so of a monitor that can be found in 2017. I would have expected this from a budget smartphone, for example, but not something from a, well, mid to high-end gaming monitor. So yeah, color accuracy isn't there. In terms of contrast ratio, I got around 700 to 1 contrast ratio, and a maximum luminance around 400 Kelvin. That is acceptable, but again, as it's a TN panel, is to be expected to get much lower contrast ratio than an IPS or VA panel, which is achieved over 1,500 to 2,000 to 1 contrast ratios. So now I thought, okay, well, let's pop it into some games. Now, I had it playing Overwatch and even playing Counter-Strike, and I found the monitor to be okay. When I say okay, I mean the input lag of the monitor was really good, and I must say, out the box, I didn't really have to didn't have to fine-tune anything other than the overdrive. Now, the overdrive, I set it to +2, and the reason why is because I noticed the fastest response time with the monitor. If I were to turn down the overdrive and turn it to off, I noticed the monitor was a little bit more sluggish to respond. But still, in comparison to a high-end IPS, even on off mode, it performs very well. So on +2, yes, you can competitively game on this, and you wouldn't have any problems competitively gaming, which is fantastic. If, however, you're going to be using it for casual gaming, then you might notice the colors more than the actual response time and the input lag of the monitor. So yeah, how does it do? Really good. The response time of the monitor is very good, especially on +2 overdrive, and the input lag is very low. I should note though, on +2 overdrive, you do get some inverse ghosting, but the inverse ghosting is relatively minimal. It's not completely, you will notice it, let's put it that way. But if it does bother you, then you can always dial down the overdrive to 0 or even turn it off completely. So yeah, competitive gaming, fantastic. Casual gaming, of course, no problem, but the colors won't be that great. That pretty much leads me on to the conclusion. The monitor itself is good monitor. It does a good job overall. Especially where it's aimed for gamers, and in that respect, I can see a gamer picking it up and just being perfectly content with it, especially because of its low input lag and low response time. However, as just an overall user myself, or someone who comes from an IPS screen, or someone who's reviewed over 80, 90 odd monitors, I must say there's other TN panels out there that do a better job. BenQ, for example, do a much better job in terms of a TN panel, but with that said, you have to pay about 480 odd pounds, which is about £100 more. Then you've got the AOC Aegon, which I'll link down in the description below, by the way. That is a TN panel, 144Hz, and comes in around the same price, and at that respect I would much rather get the AOC Aegon. It has a better color reproduction and just overall performs fantastically well, and it's got a great build quality. In other words, the Iiyama is a good monitor, but in comparison to its competitors out there, I just think it's just outclassed. Then you've got IPS monitors that make it even harder to choose between a gaming monitor and the IPS monitors. If you pay a little bit extra, say about £100 odd, and get like the Acer XF270HU-A, then you're going to get a much better image quality and a fantastic gaming experience, which can also be used for competitive gaming too. So that's pretty much it. It's a good monitor, but it's outclassed by its competitors. And in all honesty, I cannot see myself recommending this monitor, just mainly because of its color accuracy. So there we go, guys. That's been my honest review. If you've liked it, make sure you give it a like, comment, subscribe, favorite and share, as it always helps the channel grow. And let me know what you think this monitor competes with, or if there's other monitors out there that beat it. Alright guys, I've been TotallyDubbed. Take care and bye-bye.